and
Why automation? Why automation? So before I spend time what is there in the course, what we are covering in the course and all these details, first of all, the first question that we wanted everyone to discuss with you guys is why automation testing is important. We're not discussing what is automation testing. We're not discussing how automation is happening. First of all, we want to know why automation testing is important for you guys. What makes you believe that in the current era, automation testing is important? I would like to know your views on this. I'd like to know your views on this, guys.
Is really helpful to reduce the execution time of test cases, and it is also helpful for like if you want to perform the regression testing, in that case it is really helpful.
Okay, great, great.
To reducing the manual effort. So we are using
Mm,
automation.
mm, reducing the manual effort. Great. Okay. Reducing the manual effort, saving time. What else?
From the business perspective, to save the cost and time, the the,
Mm-hmm,
the cost and time spent on some specific regression testing, that
mm-hmm,
has to be saved once this automation approach gets introduced in the project,
mm,
so that the functional flow of the application could be achieved by executing the automation test scripts.
mm,
So this is going to save the manual efforts, which is going to be spent by the QA manual testers, so
mm,
that they could particularly focus on the functional testing. They have their role in the picture, but they could solely perform the QA manual testing, because manual testing, functional testing is also required as part of the project. Plus, regression is a very critical activity, also has to be performed, so that the previously developed uh, test cases, or the functionality should work as expectedly as per the business requirements, so that
mm,
QA automation testing is much required, so that the regression cases could be supported.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. That's great to know you're talking more business. I'm so impressed by you. Yes. Anyone else? Why automation testing is important? Like I got to hear the words from saving time, saving money, uh, keeping manual team more creative of their activities rather than focusing on their day-to-day activities, where the recurring activities and day-to-day regression activities can be done by automation testing. This helps the manual testers being more creative in their test scenarios, bug detection, and all these things. Anything else apart from these points? Would you believe?
Yeah. Yes, Rahul. So it can help us achieve the testing done parallelly on different devices and different
Uh,
browsers,
that's
which
great.
usually will take time if it is done manually.
Hmm. That's great. That's a good observation, Lakshmi. That's
Thank
a
you.
very good observation. Right. I got some wonderful points, guys. That's amazing to know that why automation testing is important. We got to know a lot of introspectives like it saves time, saves effort, saves a manual team from doing all their recurring and monotonous activities so that the manual team can be on their foot on the time and they can focus on the creative task of finding more test cases, finding more bugs, and let the scripts handle the redundant parts so that we can deliver a quality product. So again, one more question. Do you think the software testing deadlines have increased or decreased in the year 2025 or in the future, like 2026? What's your view on this? Like, are the software testing deadlines are going to be increased or decreased?
Uh, Even though, I mean, there might be a shift in the device, I mean, the application, I mean, the things that we might use, but definitely there will be a need of testing because for everything we are depending on an application or an app. So
Hmm,
definitely it would require us to, test it thoroughly for customer satisfaction.
great, 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 great. So I guess, yeah. I'm talking about like initially when we wanted to test our software product, initially we used to have 11 months and we used to have 2 years of deadline to test the software. Now currently, if you see, we hardly get 6 months to test the software. So what's your take on this and how do we approach it? Has anyone encountered these kind of situations in their organizations? Like previously, we had some amazing testing deadlines. Now we have a very compact testing deadlines. Anyone? Bikram, Lakshmi, or Pavitra, Babita, Mandara, Nadia? Anyone?
I think that AI is taken over at this current moment, and it is reducing the human effort. So that's the reason it has reduced the deadlines, I believe.
Okay, great. So, I mean, let's talk about that point later. Okay, I'll tell you what AI is doing, what AI is not doing at the end. I'll tell you. Okay.
So Rahul, throughout the time, agile methodology has come into the picture, and the process for the software testing lifecycle has been synced with the agile approach of work. So that
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that let's say we have a sprint or we have an
Mm-hmm.
iteration of some 15 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So during that span of time, some dedicated tickets are assigned to some person or some QA manual or the QA automation tester as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that during that period of time, the responsible guy has to deliver that particular task. So, and there is a complete time frame for a project completion during
Mm-hmm.
under which testing activity has to be submitted as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and during that complete journey of, let's say, hypothetically saying 6 months, uh,
Mm-hmm.
we have from we as in QA manual or the QA automation testers, whatsoever is implemented from the development side have to be tested manually or the automation side and needs to be delivered as part of that complete set of scope for the 6 months of complete journey with the project, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we are parallelly going in shoulder by shoulder with the development whatsoever being developed, so that is parallelly being tested from the QA manual, then
Mm-hmm.
the QA automation side as well, right? So
Yes.
here also I'm telling from the business perspective.
Yes, yes. Everything is business here. Come on.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Everything is business. If, for example,
Mhm.
if they don't see any worth in automation, neither you'll be
But
here, neither I'll be here. So everything is business. And yeah, I really like your perspectives on being to the business. Okay, cool. Yes, Vikram.
So I'm saying that yeah, methodology got changed. I mean, previously when we started that time, mostly we use waterfall. Now all agile. So I mean, 3 weeks of sprints. We have to deliver all the,
Mm,
our deliverables. So that's why timing at low. So they want the product early instead of get
mm,
all everything out. In 6 months. Now we getting in small iterations.
great, great. So just imagine the situation like Bikram or anyone. Now imagine in this current era of 2025 or 2026 that you're stepping into, you see here having only manual testing versus having only automation testing. So what do you think these are the differences that would be? Having only manual testing versus having only automation testing. Having only automation and manual testing versus having only manual testing in the project. What would be the life of a tester in this current era when I suppose when I give you a project which is when I ask you to test, first if you imagine that if you have only manual testing without automation testing included versus if you include automation testing into the project, how will be the life of a tester? Let's discuss about how what will be the life of a tester, what will be his approach towards the work.
I think it will be hectic if the project is driven only manual tester. They have to concentrate on the new requirements along with the parallelly managing the regression. it gets overloaded as the time goes. Like the regression suite will also be overloaded with the changes and all, and it will be very difficult because almost all the applications or apps we are using there, we have to test on different device types and all the things. So we might miss, though we might be concentrating on the popular or that is considered for the project, popular device types and browsers, we might miss the validation on the low concentration device types and these things. So yes, and that will, if having automation alone will only concentrate on the regression, but when it comes to the new changes, that cannot be validated with the automation because the application has to be available for them to take things into consideration for automation. So I believe one should have both. So automation may be concentrating on the repetitive task that will help the tester to do their creative job and identify more scenarios. And though automation has a upper, value addition to the project, the creative thinking is again left to the manual team.
Perfect, perfect. We have to stabilize and balance both the things in the current projects. So anyone else would like to differ on this, or everyone would agree on the same view?
Rahul, only manual testing if it is there. Time will take to complete the testing and accuracy won't be there, and
Mm,
human can miss any scenario also.
mm,
Only automation if there means 100% we cannot cover it. All it
yes,
could be
exactly.
the automatable. So manual
Mm,
and automation both should be there.
yes. If you see the right side image of it versus a project where they implemented automation as part of the testing process, his life is so relaxed, so cool. Like he's running the scripts. Like it will be like a two humans working on the project. You will be working on the manual task, the automation scripts. I will be like a alias person. They'll be working your job also. So in 24 hours, you're literally doing a 48 hours job. So, what are the advantages of automation testing? As we have all discussed, let me reiterate in a better format. Reliability. So, test cases perform precisely the same set of operations each time they are run, thereby eliminating human error. Repeatability, enabling the capability to test how the software reacts under repeated executions of the same operation. Comprehensiveness provides the ability to build a suite of tests that covers each and every feature in the application. Reusability. That means what? Once a script is built, we can run the same script on different versions of the applications to just check how the code is working, how the application is working on different versions, to check which is a stable version and all. And programmability. We can bring out some hidden information from the application. Sometimes, like there is an animation in the page which should take around 10 seconds to finish, but it is taking on 15 to 20 seconds to finish. But for a manual tester, that extra 5 to 10 seconds might not matter that much. But for automation engineer, if it is 10 seconds, it should load within 10 seconds. If it's exceeding even an extra second also,
So
that's
we
a
have
problem for
discussed
it.
the concept
So
of
later,
sprint
when we
testing.
realized that his animation is taking a lot of time, we have informed the same to the development team, which led to another issue that there was some issue in network protocol management at the infra side. So we had to correct all the network protocol systems. We had
So
to
what are
connect,
these
we have to
conditional statements?
fix all the routing
This
issues
is
and all these
something we
things.
see in
Once
our
the
everyday
routing
life.
issues have fixed, now
So
the
I'll say if
response
the
time
class
has,
is
of the
happening,
animation
then
has changed
I
from
will be
12 seconds
providing
to
more
just 2
content to you.
seconds.
Else, if the class
So
is
these
not
kind
happening,
of
then I
minute,
cannot
minute
provide more
informations
content
you
to you.
can get it with the
Clear?
help of automation. Fast. Automated tools run significantly faster than the manual process.
So these
By the
are
time you
some
go
things
and
that
have a cup
we
of coffee and
discuss
come back, your test
in
cases
our
will be
day-to-day life
complete,
today.
executions
This
will
thing.
be completed, and it will generate some
Okay.
amazing reports. Next, what is
So let me
comprehensiveness?
showcase you an
Like
example.
we can build a
I'll
suite of
say
test cases that
I'll
covers
say
each
int
and
a
every hook
equal to
and
10.
corner of your application.
I will
Now,
say
these
if
are our favorite two
a
things which is
double equal to
focused
10.
in the business currently. These are the two things. What are these two things?
When I say double
Better
equal to
quality
means what?
software. That means what?
Double
I
equal
can
to
run
means
more test cases
Are
in
you a
less time
tech
value
professional
with a
with
present.
reduced
7
team
plus
size.
years of
This is
experience
my
and want to
this is
transition?
my USP. That means we can have a better quality software in less
The
amount of time with
condition,
reduced team
and
size.
again I'll print the value.
Then what's next? Cost reduction. Result of reduced team size realized by productive gains. That means what? Yeah, that means what we are doing here. Because we are able to run more test cases in less time with reduced team size, obviously we are saving some cost to the project or saving some cost to the company. That is why most of the companies are investing more in automation testing so that they can parallelly reduce the cost of testing by including automation testing as part of the process and get a better quality software in quick amount of time. Then again, effective test management. So that means what if I build a test suite or regression suite for one application and we are delivering the same product to a different customer with some minute changes, you need not write the script from the start. You can deploy the same script into the project, make the changes as per the project and deploy it. So that is why we can reuse the automation scripts across multiple projects. Another thing is wider test coverage. That means scope to create a large number of complex automated test cases along with executions repeatedly over a period of time. So we can, if we have large number of complex automated test cases being automated, what happens? Wider test coverage means then the manual team can sit and focus on the edge scenarios, border scenarios, more complex use cases what the customers are facing and all. With the help of automation testing, we can have resource optimization. That means freeze testing resources from the test execution of the software builds that are given by the development team. We are freeing up the testing resources. That means what? Every day there will be a deployment from the dev team. And it's very difficult for us to wake up in the midnight and do the smoke execution. So in that case, what automation does every night, if you build a robust smoke suit, every time it only builds a smoke suit and it only executes the code. You need not worry about anything. Okay. Manual versus automation effort testing. So this is just like a dummy graph with some generic analysis. So what I'm saying, manual versus automation. So if you take around full regression on 1,000 test cases, that will take around 160 man hours. When I'm saying 160 man hours, it's not only about testing, making a report of it, marking the test cases passed in the Excel. You need to attach all the evidences for each and every test cases. If you include all this kind of activities, it will take around 160 man hours in general to finish the regression suite execution. Whereas if you automate all those 1,000 test cases, it will take around 16 man hours. That means two resources, the 1 day effort of two resources. Similarly, partial regression, if you want to do the same activity, it will take 40 man hours. Whereas if you include automation testing, it will take 4 man hours. Similarly for sanity and similarly for smoke. So before we jump or dive into automation testing, the top 5 lessons that we need to learn is don't automate a mess. Okay? Never ever automate a mess. Avoid complex logic in your script. That means what? Write the logic in the script which is necessary to the business. Don't try to create more unnecessary complex data or complex information in your code. Third thing, 100% automation is never ever possible at all. 100% automation cannot be done at all. The max to max 80% automation only can be done. Four, beware of automation
How
engineers
does
who don't
Docker help with
understand
production
testing.
quality?
Got it? So test automation is a software development process. So when I say software development process, like software developers, how we build the framework, how we
Turn your
segregate the
LinkedIn
code, how
profile
we run the
into a
code, how we
lead
test the code. It is also a development process. We need to do multiple checks, multiple rounds of testing to ensure that the code is working properly or not. Since we are the testers, we only have to test our automation code. And who don't understand testing is they need to be aware of basic testing terminologies like smoke, sanity, regression. What is this agile methodology? What is your cycle? What is the test plan? What is the test process that we are adhering to? All these details you need to know.
The
Then only
Chrome
in
browser
accordance to it, we can do
and
test automation.
whatever.
Is this clear so far? Any doubts?
Right.
Conference will now be
Any doubts so far?
No, all good.
Existing. If you want to create our own customized function, the syntax is there's a keyword called def,
Great,
definition like def, and you have to
great. So let's get started with the next topic, that is,
Rahul, I have a point to
yes,
ask.
please.
So as you mentioned that 80%, so you just took the example like 80% of the automation is possible, not the complete 100%. So
Hmm.
what is the actual reason behind it? So
We
on
cannot
which ground
automate
we would say?
biometrics. We
Mhm,
cannot automate captcha. We cannot automate biometrics. We cannot do image processing that accurately. And there will be some, you have to connect to some external devices and check whether the document is being able to scan or not. And we can also say that suppose when you're when you're dealing with a logistics project, if you have to capture the screen number plate and you have to validate whether the number plate is right or not, you
mhm.
cannot do those kind of things. And and one more thing, like they'll ask you to check whether you're a human or not. So in the captcha, it's instead of a text, we have an image-based captcha, right?
Mhm.
And OTP validation. In the local environment, I can take it from the log, but in the production, I cannot
Makes
take it
sense.
from the logs.
Right, right,
So you cannot automate this SMS and web mail things.
right, right.
Till QA, you can do OTP, but that's not your right way of testing it. You're just bypassing the process.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah. Gateway testing is something we cannot do it. That's one thing I wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's go to the Java concepts that we are covering as part of Selenium with Java. So first thing is we will first focus on fundamentals. How do we create classes, objects, methods, and access modifiers, which are the building blocks of Java program. Then we will understand what are the primitive data types, proper classes, string manipulation techniques, essential for processing the data and validating the results. Then we go into the advanced concepts like arrays, collections, streams, lambdas, and modern Java features that streamline test code and enhance maintainability. Then we can, whatever core Java we are learning, we can apply it in all our DSA questions that they ask in the interview to strengthen your problem solving in real testing scenarios, all these things. Whatever knowledge we have
So you
gained, we
just
can
mentioned
apply
that you
the
want
same
to
thing
learn
in the
Python. So
programming
do
questions
not
that
learn
we'll be
Python in
sharing with
manual
you
way in
because
2025
these
because
days,
learning
whenever you're
Python in
going for
manual way will
interview,
take you
the first round is always about programming questions. The first round is about programming question. How many ways you can solve the same question. So we will start with understanding what are the Java data types and operators for test automation. So what are the different data types in Java that I have? What are the common operators that we have in Java? And how do we typecast the data from one form to another form? So for the people who are seeing the terms too much difficult, I've also put some sample examples for you to understand. If you're not understanding also, that's completely fine. We will be discussing each and every point in detail during our regular classes. So what are the primitive data types? What are the different operators? What are the different bitwise operators? What is typecasting and conversion? Why it is important and all these things. We'll be discussing all these things in detail. Then we'll be seeing how do we create classes that model your application components, what is method creation, access modifiers, and how do we design clean, maintainable test frameworks, constructors and overloading. So understand how to initialize test objects efficiently and implement method overloading, flexible test utilities, why it is important from a OOPS point of view. We'll be discussing all these things. Then we'll be discussing the wrapper classes, control flows, what is this wrapper classes, what is this control structures, what is this if else conditions, how do we master loops, how do we master wrapper classes, or why wrapper classes are important, where do we use it, and all these things. Then we will be covering exception handling, memory management. Yeah. What is the purpose of exception handling? It is help there to identify potential errors, implement try catch finally to handle these errors. How can we create our custom exceptions? And how do we manage the memory using this exception handling? Because no matter how much ever code you write, it is always it is always efficient to know how the memory management is happening in the JVM perspective and all those things. If you understand all this memory management, then only it will be very useful for you. And then we'll be seeing the different string concepts like why strings are immutable, why it is, what are the different functions and all these things. What is string builder? What is string buffer? What is string utils? What are the most advanced manipulation techniques with coming with respect to strings? Because if you don't know how to deal with strings, then it is very difficult for us to do automation testing using any tool. Let it be Selenium, Playwright, Cypress, or WebDriver, or name anything. Okay. Okay. Then we'll be covering what is the arrays or the how is the fundamental data structures in Java. What are the different types of arrays? How do we declare it? What are the different practical functions, practical examples, along with some different functions or something like that. And if you're working with larger data sets, if you're if you're working with larger data sets, something like that, we can consider collections that offers more flexibility than fixed size arrays. We'll be discussing different topics in arrays. Now let's understand Java collection framework. What are the different types of collections that we are discussing? Because Java collection strings, exception handling are like bread and butter for every automation in here. So you'll be seeing what is array list, what is the set. We also share the use cases. Where do we use this list? And we have linker list, tree set, vector, linker hash set. So we also come up with the use cases. Suppose if you are using a for loop, what are the different use cases? For if you are using while loop, what are the different use cases? Because without use cases, there's no point in learning the topic. So always we come up with the concept of use cases, which is good in terms of performance, which collection is better in terms of performance. We'll be discussing all these things in detail. Okay. Then we'll be seeing what is maps, what is queues, why we are using maps, when do we use hash map, when do you use tree map, when do you use queues, priority DQ, array DQ, linked hash map, when we'll be using this. Then we'll be using the concept of iterator to iterate over the collections, all these things. And in recently in the interviews also they were asking about what are the different types of map. They were asking about weak hash map and strong hash map. In one of the SDET interviews, I've seen interviews asking this kind of questions and focusing more on the maps. So I'll be giving you all the information, all the details which are related to the maps. And modern Java features, that is optional, streams, and Lambda expressions. So you'll be seeing what is optional, which is used for efficient handling the null pointer exceptions efficiently. So what are the different functions that we have? We will discuss all these functions. What is the traditional approach? What is the advanced approach now? Then we'll be seeing what are the streams, lambdas functions, lambda expressions. What is this? What are the different functions that we can cover? We can see all these things. So what is the traditional way of writing the code? How lambda expressions and streams enhance this thing? Got it? So we will also be discussing the different types of generics, records, and libraries. Because if you don't understand generics, then you cannot create some wonderful reusable libraries that we use in the framework. Because once you start using generics, you can create some amazing utilities. So we'll be discussing what is generics, why generics, what are the different wildcard characters, bounded types, and we'll be seeing how do we reuse the generics part. Then we'll be seeing what is records, how we can migrate from the regular traditional Pojo and how we come to the records, and how do we use these records, how it is efficient and how it is done by default. Then we can also discuss some Lombok annotations. What is a Lombok? What are the different annotations? Where do you use? Why do you use? How to use? How it reduces the lines of code? We can discuss all these things. And if time permits, I would also throw some insights on Guava collections, which will provide you some additional libraries to enhance the data processing, data manipulation, all these things. Then Whatever Java knowledge we have gained on, we can utilize the same thing in building customer session, building reporting utilities, building some page object patterns, common page object patterns, building some different kinds of frameworks like data-driven testing, BDD testing, and all these things. So at the end of this Java topics, we can help you how we can help you master all the core Java concepts that are used in the current thing. You can apply all these Java concepts in testing scenarios and automation frameworks, and we can also apply the same things during the programming questions that they ask. And of course, you'll be getting a tons of programming questions from my side also for each and every topic, and you'll be getting some MCQ based questions for each and every topic to help you master the fundamentals at a concept level as well as at the programmatical level. Any doubts with respect to core Java topics? Any doubts with respect to core Java topics, guys?
No, Rahul.
Great. So, mastering Selenium, a comprehensive guide of what we are gonna do. So the agenda of this is like, how do we do a basic project setup? What are the different browser interactions, Selenium architecture, locators, actions, and all the advanced topics. So first we will see what is a Maven project, why we are using a Maven project over Gradle, what are the different things, why we are going with a Maven. We will be discussing all these things at the start because since for Selenium we will definitely go with a Maven project. You need to understand what is Maven, why Maven, what are the different phases of Maven, why do we use it, and all these details. Okay. So we will be seeing how do we do a project setup, like how do we first we will understand what is Maven profiling, how do we trigger the basic test cases, what are the different properties what are the different properties tab in Maven setup. First, we need to understand the Maven setup. If you understand the Maven setup only, then you will know how to organize your automation project. So we will be seeing what are the different architectures, like what is the Selenium 3 architecture, Selenium 4 architecture. We'll be discussing all these things. And we will also see how do we launch the browsers, how do we launch the browser. So here I've just shown you one way of launching the browser, but I can launch the Firefox browser in 4 to 5 different ways. I'll launch the same Chrome browser in 4 to 5 different ways. What are those different ways? Which is right for your project? Which is essential for your project? We will discuss all these things. Then you'll be seeing how do we create a new tab, new window? How do we switch between a handle between tabs and windows and different pop-ups? We'll be discussing all the different types of locators, ID, name, XPath, class, link text, partial link text, and all these things. So we'll be seeing all the Selenium for locators also above, below, to right of, to left of. We have around 8 different relative locators in Selenium 4. We'll be discussing all these things. Then we'll be seeing the different interactions in Selenium, like how do we click, how do we how do we perform different send keys, clear, get text is displayed. Then we'll also see get area role, get CSS value. We'll be seeing some different points with respect to in terms of accessibility testing also. Then we'll be seeing some advanced interactions like double click, context click, move to element, drag and drop, different keyboard combinations. Then we'll be discussing the different kinds of weights. And we can also create our own custom weights. Apart from this 3 weights, we can also create our own custom weights. Then we'll be seeing what are the different JavaScript actions that we can perform. We can see how do we capture the screenshots. We can see the frame handling. We can see how do we pierce into shadow DOM. This is most important. How do we handle the sliders? How do we handle file uploads and downloads? So how do we authenticate our browser? Like we'll be getting some pop-ups like authentication browser pop-ups. How do we handle it? How do we do it? We can discuss all these topics. And with respect to the current job market, Selenium still remains one of the most in-demand skills for QA and test automation professionals globally. Because I agree that a lot of tools are there in the market, like Playwright. Most people say Playwright is like something that is new tool in the market, but Selenium is a proven leader for the past 20 years, and lot of enterprise-based applications are automated with help of Selenium, and still lot of heavy enterprise applications still use Selenium, no matter what. Playwright is just beginning, it's just evolving, but it takes time to really really understand whether Playwright is the right tool in the market. But Selenium, as of now, till 2026 end, is one of the most in-demand skills. Companies across industries are investing heavily in test automation to accelerate release cycles, improve software quality, reduce testing costs, support DevOps and CI/CD pipelines, all these things. And if you see the trend in the Indian market is that we are expected to get a fall 40% salary hike. And I see personally, as per the LinkedIn trends, that we have some 50K plus job openings, and average salary from a mid-level automation engineer in India is 12 lakhs. Average salary. And again, it can vary for experience to experience, it will vary. I'm just giving a rough figure based on the expected salary post by the LinkedIn trends. This is something I'm sharing with you guys. Any doubts with respect to Selenium topics?
No, Rahul.
Then we will be seeing how do we build an automation test framework. So we will be covering start with first, what are the test engine fundamentals? What is Cucumber BDD? Then how do we manage the data? Then we will be seeing how do we generate the reports? Then at the end, we will also learn what are the different types of frameworks and how do we implement it. In order to implement any framework, the first four fundamentals are this, or this first four fundamentals, you need to know what is what. So what are the test NG essentials that we are covering? So we'll be seeing how do we write effective test cases, different annotations, different attributes. What is the difference between soft and hard assertions? How do we do parallel test execution? How do we do test case grouping? How do we provide some custom configurations? What are the different event firing decorators that we use it? Now in data provider also, we have four different concepts. One is hard-coded data, Excel integration, CSV files, JSON format. Then what are the different test engine listeners? WebDriver event listener, iTest listener, iExecution listener, iMethod interceptor, iSuit listener, iAnnotation transfer. We'll be seeing all these things in the detail. Then we will be covering a lot of details about Cucumber PDD fundamentals, like what are the feature files with Gherkin syntax, scenario and scenario outline, data tables, runner files configuration, tag-based scenario selection, examples for data-driven testing, how to use Pico container, how do we use different Cucumber annotations, and why BDD in the current market? Because it bridges the gap between technical and non-technical members by using the natural language specification that serves as both documentation as well as automated tests. So at the end of Cucumber BDD, we'll be using a GenAI model called as Gemini. How do we integrate the Gemini AI model into your regular automation framework and see how do we generate reports in multiple Gherkin languages? Because Gherkin supports 70 natural language specifications. So if I want to generate a report in some French or some German or some Spanish during the runtime, you will also see how do I integrate Gemini AI SDK into your regular project, and let's enhance the way how do we improve the AI capabilities in our automation framework. Then we can integrate this Cucumber with JUnit as well as with TestNG. Then we will see how do we integrate our Excel file with our as part of our testing framework. Then we'll be seeing another properties file management, like what is a properties file, what are the different file operations, how do we create a master slave mechanism, how do we efficiently manage different environments, how do we have a master slave configuration here. Then we'll be seeing all the advanced reporting, like what are the different extent reports, Allure reports, and recently we have also the concept of chain test reports for how to use chain test reports and all these things. Okay. And then what are the different frameworks that we have popularly used in the market? Data-driven, BDD, modular, keyword-driven, hybrid, linear. We'll be using all these approaches and details. Okay. Now, what are the next steps? You should choose the right framework architecture for your project ideas, implement robust data management strategies, leverage TestNG and Cucumber for comprehensive test coverage, And you can also learn how to maintain or increase your scale of your frameworks. You can, as per your current testing trends, you can select your appropriate framework, implement the core infrastructure, integrate with CI/CD pipeline. How do we expand our test coverage incrementally? We can, after you learn all these topics, these are the key takeaways from these topics and how you can implement the roadmap in your organization of how to design a framework. How do you get started with this? And if you talk about the job market, as per the LinkedIn, these are some fantastic LinkedIn statistics that we have got. That 1,000+ test automation framework jobs, 1,000+ QA automation roles, 856 companies, roles are specific to framework designing, 59 roles are related to SDET automation engineering. So these are some salary growths in the US market and trend. I forgot to add it for the Indian market. Soon add it for the Indian market. So these are some statistics that I've grabbed from LinkedIn with respect to the job market and different types of jobs, what kind of testing that we have. And these days, like after 3 years, you will see me discussing about LLM models, what is small language models. Now we are discussing large language models. So the future of testing will be all about small language models along with your regular day-to-day testing. In next 3 years, mark my words, we'll be discussing about small language models also. Any doubts with respect to framework design topics? Any doubts? Guys, can I get a quick confirmation everyone is clear with it or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we will be seeing what are the different Git functions, CI/CD and JDBC concepts. So what is Git? What is the difference between Git and GitHub? What are the alternative Git tools that we have? What are the different essential Git commands? What is Git init? What is Git clone? Making changes, Git add, Git commit. What are the different synchronizing commands? Branching, merging. We'll be discussing all these things in detail. Then we'll be seeing some SQL fundamentals. What are the different SQL tools? How we can use them? All these things. What are the different CRUD operations with respect to database, with respect to Java programming? We'll be seeing all the different CRUD operations. Then we'll be understanding what are the different categories of SQL. So if you want to really go for some fantastic pay scale, database is something now these days is a mandatory. I hope I cannot teach you the complete database, but I'll give you some kickstart or some push for you to get started. So we will be understanding what is CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. What is this and all these details. Then, at first, in order to get started with the CI/CD tools, we need to have Jenkins, Apache Maven, different versions of JDK. Now, by September 16th, we'll be getting JDK 25, which will be supported to Jenkins latest version also. Then we'll be seeing what is Jenkins, what is pipeline as a code, how do we build a robust build automation, and it has an extensive plugin ecosystem. And we will also be seeing what is Docker, what is containerization, what is images, why it is useful in the current market. And we'll also be seeing what is JDBC, why JDBC is being used and all these details. And the key takeaways from these topics are you'll understand what is version control, you'll understand how do we manage and connect to the database, you'll also understand what are the different CI/CD processes that we work on. Then This is one of the most important and core topics in the current market. What is the importance of API testing? So you'll see what is API testing, what is a client server architecture, and why do we need API testing? We'll be seeing all this stuff. First, we need to know what is API testing, why developers have started building API testing, what is a client server architecture, and why do we need API testing? So we'll be seeing what we'll understand what are the different types of APIs, what is this online versus offline APIs, what are the different HTTP methods, status codes, what are the different techniques of API testing like functional testing, security testing, performance testing, integration testing, what are this? We'll just give you the overview of what is what. Then we'll go into the Postman topics. What is this Postman? Why are we using this Postman amongst all the tools? What are the different components in Postman tool? How do we do the installation and setup? Then we'll be seeing how do we perform the API request? How do we manage the collections in the Postman? What are the different variables? What are the different variables in Postman? How do we import the collections from the Swagger, existing Swagger? What are these monitors in Postman? How do we use this on a day-to-day basis? How do we write your test scripts in Postman using the JavaScript? What are the different JS assertions? How do we validate the JSON schema? And what is this Newman command line runner? How do we generate different kinds of reports for Postman executions? How do we do data-driven testing using Postman? How do we access the variables? How do we integrate this CI/CD? Like Postman scripts can be integrated in CI/CD using Jenkins, Docker, Azure DevOps, GitHub Actions. It can be, but in the course we'll be covering Jenkins and Docker only. If time permits, I might go for Azure or GitHub Actions. Okay. So this is more of a pipeline scripting. How do we do it? So then we'll be seeing what is this rest assured, how it has get started, what are the key features of this tool, what is this BDD versus non-BDD approach? Okay. What are the different HTTP methods? How do we pass our request payload? How do we validate our response? This is serialization and deserialization. How do we upload the files using the API? Request and response logging for debugging purposes. What are the spec builders? What are the different types of parameters? How do we validate the JSON schema? And what are the different expressions like JSON path, XML path, JV expressions? And also we'll be going through some different types of authentication across the whole journey. And we'll also do data-driven testing using rest assured. And we will also see how do we generate different types of reports. And we will be spending around 3 to 4 days on understanding what is this karate framework, what is this zero coding API based testing tool, what is it all about, and how do we write our test steps in the form of a feature file like this, and how it gets automated and all this thing. What is this fuzzy matches if you want to use some data-driven testing and all these things. We are not giving a full-fledged flow of karate, we are just giving you some overview or enhancement because in some companies they might ask you to explain what is karate framework. That's the reason. And this is what is the API testing job market in India. It's growing like crazy. 30% job growth annually. Average salary ranges around 7 to 18 lakhs for a mid-level person. It's maximum 18 lakhs now. We have 10K plus job openings on API testing only. And the major hiring cities are Bangalore, Hyderabad, all these things. And what are the key skill sets? API testing tools, the different programming knowledges, familiarity with some cloud tools and database knowledge. And API testers can advance into roles like automation architect, lead QA engineer, performance testing, or DevOps. And in fact, if you want to interact with some AI models like Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT, you need to know how to interact with their APIs, how the tokens are being consumed, how the vectors are being taken into picture. So API testing is like a gold mine in the current market. Is this clear, guys? Any doubts? Anything with respect to the course topics, details? And every day, So these are the topics that we are covering, and every day morning 7 to 8 the sessions will be there, and the course will long for around 2.5 to 3 months, 2.5 months, max 2.5 months. Any more doubts with respect to the topics, with respect to any scenarios you feel that we are missing? And also forgot to tell you that we'll be covering some generative AI topics, as well as we'll be covering Selenium grid also. These are the topics I've not mentioned in the slides, which I'm telling you upfront. Great. Any doubts? You can discuss any doubts if you have. No doubts? None? Bikram,
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
yeah. Anusha, Abhita, Mandara.
All good.
Great.
So, like, sir, like, we'll be able to do the real-time projects as well with this.
Yes. Yes, like you'll be seeing how a real-time framework will be built. How do we'll be taking some applications which are very complex in nature, which are built on React plus TypeScript. We'll be taking the applications built on it because finding locators for that will be a very tricky thing. So we'll be dealing with some complex applications and mix of simple and complex applications. And how do we use it in a real-time framework? You'll be seeing all these things.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rahul, are you covering GraphQL topic?
Yes, we are covering GraphQL. I forgot. That's the third point I forgot to mention in my slides. Yeah. Any doubts?
No, Rahul.
So for the people who are already worked with automation testing or someone like that, what do you feel about it? Like, do you think these are the right skill set for you to really have a crack at the job? Well, I believe these are the right skill sets because of the latest interview trends from the past 2 months. This is what is the scenario. Great. So tomorrow we'll get started with the tools installations. What are the different tools that we need to install, or what are the different things that we need to go on? We'll be discussing from tomorrow. And we will also be covering some Gen AI concepts. How do we generate test cases using the prompt, and how do we validate? We will be discussing all those things. Okay.
Rahul.
Cool then. If no one has no doubts, then we can drop the call and we can continue our discussion from tomorrow onwards.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Hello, good evening.
So guys, are you able to see my screen? Please tell me.
Yes.
Okay. Now, all right. So guys, we are about to start with the slightly advanced topic, which is called apply collections, okay, to arrays. Okay, so we have these methods